Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhavanatu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahai Om Shanti Shanti. So chapter 5 of the Gita, which we've been studying, Karma Sannyasa Yoga, the yoga of renunciation. Although the translation says of action, what it means is renunciation in action. So the whole essence of spiritual growth is the ability to renounce your ego, selfishness, egocentric desires. That is to be renounced, not action. In fact, only by performing selfless action can you renounce the ego. So action is important, vital. That's why the whole Gita is all about how to act in the world. But how we act is the problem. And what he says in verse 17, which we concluded last week, with mind and intellect established in that, with that as the supreme goal. So your intellect needs to understand that the self is the supreme goal of human existence. That's what the intellect needs to understand. And when the intellect understands that that is the higher, the mind will automatically follow it. I've given you the example so many times, I'm repeating so it stays with you. A person in a slum doesn't know what is the outside world. But when his intellect starts understanding there's something far better than living in a slum, automatically his mind, in other words, his desire will follow that direction. He would want to get out, right? So right now you don't want to get out of your limited existence because you don't understand what is better. So mind and intellect needs to be established in the self. And you have to understand that is the supreme goal. Then your sins will be dispelled. Sins means your mental agitations are dispelled by that knowledge. And you hit the ultimate, you never come back. It's a permanent state. We were discussing yesterday when he's talking about the supreme reality. It is the absolute existence, absolute bliss, permanence. That's what he says, reach a state of no return. And I explained to you that even relatively, to the extent you acquire this wisdom, you need not be enlightened. To that extent, those particular qualities don't leave you. That particular intellect will be there. So, whatever effort you put in this path, there's no return. No return in the sense you don't lose it. As long as you get established. So, this is where we were last week, verse 17. We completed. So, before we continue, any questions? I see one hand up. Rudolph, you had something?
Oh, by mistake.
By mistake? Okay. Anybody else? Any clarifications? Questions to what we've covered so far before we get into verse 18? There are a few questions on the chat about the Gita book. Yeah, some of you probably knew from last week's lecture. So, see the book that we are following, if you see on the board there, this is the book which is the Gita commentary, which is commented upon by my guru. So he's Swami A. Parthasarthi. Those of you who don't know who he is. So he has commented upon each verse of the Gita. And he has also made an original contribution by demarcating every chapter into topics. So you understand the thought flow. So those of you who really want to follow along these classes for your reference, I would definitely recommend you get this. It's there on Amazon or Kindle or wherever you get your books from. And on the YouTube channel, the entire Gita, which I've been teaching from verse 1, is available. Okay. So those of you who are interested, you can catch up at your own convenience. So you have the whole knowledge available. And then on Saturdays, we do the Vedanta treatise, which is also an incredible work because it contains the whole Vedanta philosophy in one book, which you won't get. So it took him 25 years just to write this book. It was his first book. He's 99 now. We're putting the clock back 50, 60 years. So this I teach on Saturdays. We are the second to last chapter, but I would still recommend those of you who are really interested in philosophy attend it. Because the last chapter pretty much summarizes the whole message. And then once we finish, we'll get back to the first chapter. So you won't really miss out and you'll get into the flow of it. Verse 18. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavihastini Shuni Chaiva Shvapake Cha Pandita Samadashinaha. The wise view equally. One of the famous verses. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane. The wise view equally a Brahmana endowed with learning and humility. A cow, an elephant, a dog, even a shwapaka, dog eater, outcast. So, what he's talking about here, you must understand, he's using the language of those days. So, the highest cadre of human beings, which people misunderstand as birth based, it's not birth based, it's based on your nature. Just because your father is an accountant doesn't mean you're an accountant, right? So how can it be birth based? It's as simple as that. So this whole caste system, they made a mess out of it because throughout the scriptures they have made it very clear. In fact, even in the Gita, when we get there, it is swabhava jam. It's born of your swabhava, your nature, not your birth, which parents you're born to. What does that have to do with it? It could be the same, but it's not necessary. So the highest category of a human being are the philosopher class. Quite simply because they are engaged in dissolving their ego for the sake of God realization. So the higher you are spiritually is the closer you are to the self. And what determines your closeness to the self is how selfless you are. Ego, selfishness, and divinity are diametrically opposed. So that's why the second cadre is the warrior caste, because they are willing to sacrifice their life to protect the country. That's a true warrior. But they still have desires. They're not engaged in enlightenment. They still have desires for their family and power and name. But at least they have an unselfish goal in life. Third cadre is the Vaishya class, which is the trader. Trader means, which is everybody actually. Nothing to do with trade, just doing in, you're not in a trading business therefore. What is a doctor doing? You're trading your knowledge for a fee. What is a lawyer doing? You're trading your knowledge of law and you charge a fee. They're all trading. All traders only. But if that same doctor is willing to sacrifice their life, then they fall into a warrior caste, literally. The people in COVID, they went to the hospitals, died. You can't call them traders. They are the higher category. So depending on your level of selfishness, that's all it is. So the highest is amongst the philosophers. What is the highest grade? That the learning of the scriptures, learning of knowledge of the self has actually gone in. Most of the so-called Brahmanas are in name only. I've learned this. I've learned this scripture. I can memorize that. There's no humility. Humility means lack of ego. The true test of knowledge is your ego is dissolved. That I-ness, mindness. That's what we were saying. It reflects in different way. Last week I was telling you in the lecture, right? How much are you willing to sacrifice, to serve, to give? That is the test of spirituality, because to that extent you've dissolved your selfishness. Selfishness is taking, selflessness is giving. Simple as that. Humility, they all go together. So what he's saying here, the test of spiritual wisdom is what he's talking about in 18. So make a note. He says a wise person is one who views the entire range of humans as the same. So the Brahmana endowed with learning humility is the highest. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne. Vidya, knowledge, Vinaya, humility. Vidya Vinaya. A cow. Cow represents the sattvic people. See, there are three categories of mental, in fact, all of us have them. The three qualities, right, of the mind. Sattva is the highest, selfless, peaceful, knowledgeable. Rajas is the middle, selfish, agitated, acting for fulfilling selfish desires, stress, worry, anxiety. This is Rajas. And Tamas is sleep, lowest, lethargy, indifference, indolence, inertia, ignorance. So the cow represents the sattvic quality. Why? Because their life is about maximum giving, minimum taking. That quality is respected, not the fanatical attachment to the animal, which is what it's become now. Follow the quality which is being said. The cow gets some dry hay and it gives wholesome milk in return. Its manure is the best possible organic fertilizer there is. So much is given by the cow and so little is taken. Even the male cows. Those days there were no tractors, obviously. So they were the ones who plowed the fields all day in the hot sun. Night they get some dry hay to eat. So minimum taking, maximum giving. That's the sattvic person. Today's life is what? Maximum taking, minimum giving. It doesn't even strike you. I know fellows in their 60s, 70s, multi millionaires. Their whole life is all about the next trip, the next vacation. That's all they think about. It doesn't even strike them. Or nobody is saying don't go on vacation. At least some part, how can I serve this world? So many people need it doesn't even occur to you. It's all about maximum taking, minimum I want to give the world. And even what you have to give, even that you don't want to give. Can you give a discount? Can you give a free? This free and discount should be removed from the human vocabulary. It's the most destructive thing. Free. What is this free? You don't want to pay for what you use. It's the worst quality. He who eats without producing is a thief, says the Gita. You're a thief. So where is that and where is the sattvic quality? That's a cow. A dog represents the rajasic quality. Ferocious, barking, moving, constant agitation. That is a rajasic life. Selfish, desire-ridden, acting to fulfill those desires, growling at those who go against your desires. All the time growling. All the time angry, complaining. Typical rajas. Elephant, huge, moving around. What does elephant represent? Tamas. The Hastini. So, massive blob of nothingness. Lazy, just from couch to the remote back to the couch. Then the car comes, sit in the plane, again watch something. So, it's all pick up the phone, go on blabbering. All pure tamasic. So, and then out, Shwapaka is translated as a dog eater. So, those days, you got to understand, even the people who ate regular flesh were not allowed in the cities. They were considered not worthy of living with sattvic humans, Imagine not even regular meat, all these other shwapaka, dog eater, means really, really primitive. Those days I'm saying. Now I don't know. Now everything is fair game. So this applies to those days. So they said even a person like that versus the highest cadre, you have equality. He's acting according to their nature. The highest philosopher is acting according to his nature. What's the difference? So why will there be a difference in feeling? Anyone? If there's a difference in feeling, why is it? Gabby, you had an answer, you have a question?
I'm just saying there's no difference. It's all God stuff.
It's all God stuff, but who looks at it like that? Point is, when there is a difference, what is the reason? So, Subhajit.
Yeah, it is basically our liking and disliking.
Our liking and disliking, correct. So, when a person meets your desires, caters to your desires, you like them. Another person doesn't cater to your desires, you dislike, hate them. And if a person neither caters nor doesn't cater, you're indifferent. So if you notice your relationship with the world now, it consists of those who you claim you love. Nothing, you don't love them. You just love what they do for you. This is attachment. That's one portion. Wife, children, friends, certain friends. And then there are people who you dislike. Wife, mother and brother, usually. Sometimes own mother and brother also. And then that colleague at work who got the promotion, which you didn't. Because these people don't cater to your desires. And the rest of the world, somebody is in Chile or Argentina, what do you care? You're indifferent. Because they neither cater to you nor go against you. Very interesting. So all your emotions are divided into this attachment, hatred, what do you call likes, dislikes, indifference. Now this is totally different than a spiritual person where there is a genuine feeling of affection towards all beings. Actually, you look at anyone, it's the same. Imagine that state. That's what he's saying. Or to the extent you're spiritual, you have this equality of vision. So in fact, one of the things you must test yourself. So many of you have been studying for a while, and what is your feeling towards your fellow beings? Is that affection coming, regardless of whether or not they cater to you? Just that feeling. See, yesterday we were at a restaurant. These fellows are on their heels, taking orders, taking this, getting the people comfortable, taking their literally abuse. This is not good, that is not good. Or you at least feel. Fellows working hard, that thought should come. You don't care. Come here. Why is my food not come? What is my So that will reflect when the time comes for the tip. You will automatically give liberally because you feel. Don't feel, how can you give? That's his job. He's getting paid. He provides a service, he gets paid. What's your problem? I have no problem. That is your problem, not mine. So, that feeling. Now, before you all start asking your questions, this is a feeling, not action. Remember that. See, you feel the same towards a kitten as you feel towards a tiger. But you can go pet a kitten. You can't go pet a tiger. You have to keep a distance because the tiger will destroy you. But the feeling can be the same. Action depends on the situation. See, the Gita is a great example. Krishna felt for both the Kauravas and the Pandavas. He's made it very clear throughout the Mahabharata. But his obligation was to destroy, kill the Kauravas because they had become a curse to the society. The Kaurava brothers. And his obligation was to protect the Pandavas because they are the only ones capable of bringing the righteousness back to the society. So even though his feelings were the same, obligations were different. You all understand? Now, this is where we go wrong. You mix the two. How can we love such an evil person? Why not? But you don't have to encourage that. You may have to report that person to the police for the sake of the community, but you can sympathize with them. So this is the test of spiritual development. You understand you are the self. You are that divine principle which pervades everywhere. So everything becomes a reflection of your own self. So if you are not developing this equality, there's something wrong. A long way to go. Yes, Vikram, you had a question.
Gautamji, there is a question from Raj on the overall concept. How does one apply knowledge to overcome emotions and anxiety so that the mind and intellect can be established to pursue the higher purpose?
How does one, excuse me, what?
How do you use knowledge to channel the mind and intellect to focus on the higher?
Knowledge is the intellect. See, the intellect, when we say intellect, it's nothing but that part of you, the thinking part of you, which has been strengthened with the higher knowledge of the self. Only that can control the mind. There's no other way. See, a person has knowledge that alcohol is bad for them. Does it mean that he can control the mind? When that craving comes, he again succumbs. So the intellect is not strong enough to control the mind, emotions. Now with Vedanta, it's totally different. Vedanta is the knowledge of the higher with which you strengthen your intellect. So as you get stronger, you're able to control the weaker mind. The mind becomes weaker. There's no other way. Because even in the world, let's say you control alcohol, you'll have problems with money. You control money, you'll have problems with your relationships. It is because the mind will take over. It's too strong. So you need that general intellectual power, which comes with knowledge, where you can maintain a supervision over the entire mind. So you see people, right, brilliant in tennis. They can keep their emotions under control on the tennis court. They play very well. They don't let their emotions. But if you see their personal life is a total disaster. So they've been sued for abuse and this and that, all kinds of things. Why? Because it's very limited, right? So Vedanta gives you that overall power of thinking. Ravi?
Gautamji, when you mentioned about feelings, so assuming, so you come across two people, so somebody is knowingly doing evil or, knowingly hurting people or the society or, are you saying the feeling should be the same for that person versus someone who's not hurting anybody or who's...
Yes, that's what we just said. Feeling should be the same. Obligation is different. I just explained to you, right? You may be obliged to report that person who's willingly doing harm in your company. There's a fellow in your company, as an example I'm giving, who's stealing from your company. Now you have to report him. Otherwise, he'll destroy the company. But you must have a feeling that fellow is victimized by his greed. He's got a gambling issue or whatever. You can sympathize with them. Why should you have a hatred towards them?
Okay.
See, to help you, I'll give you a quote by Maurice Maeterlinck. Maurice Maeterlinck is a great English author. He says, happy and blessed hour, H-O-U-R, happy and blessed time. Okay. When wickedness stands forth revealed as goodness, bereft of a guide. So you'll be happy and blessed when you see wickedness as goodness without guidance. What a quote. They just don't have the right guidance, the right education. If you had their background and their education, you'll probably be acting in the same way. You see so many of these criminals, they've had such bad backgrounds and abuses, and they only know how to, they've learned that only they have to steal forcefully or whatever they have to do. So you can have a feeling. That doesn't mean you condone it. You have to put them in the corrective path. But why can't you have a feeling? Why is he doing that? If I was in his shoes, maybe I would have done the same. That immediately changes. You have the privilege of being educated, and you had parents to guide you and people to educate you. In fact, if you start stealing, you're much worse than that fellow with all this background. There are fellows like that also. Even that you must understand. Too much greed. Shreyas?
Hariom Gautamji, you gave a great example of the person who's able to rise above attachment, dislike, indifference on a tennis court, but the personal life is a mess. When you have this kind of, call it dissonance or difference, what's happening here? That the intellect works really well when you're in a professional setting, but then when it comes to personal, you lose your...
It's not intellect is working well. It is the mind's desire is not strong enough to overpower the intellect in that situation. But when it comes to relationships, everybody maximum attachment. You understand? So they just can't handle it. Nobody can handle relations. Or everybody en masse. You have problems with your spouse and children. Because maximum expectation and demands. Right? From your colleagues at work, what demands you have? You know, they are what they are, I am what I am. Why waste my time? Now, why can't you treat your spouse like that? He is what he is, I am what I am, why waste my time? Let him do what he wants. You can't. My husband, you better cater to me. So that's the problem. You understand? So these guys in some particular fields, they don't have much of a desire in that field. They're playing it, but it's not that much that their intellect can't handle it. You get it? It's all relative. Even there, it's not the fellow who's winning the tennis is detached. He's just less attached than the fellow who's across the net. Assuming the ability is the same, which all these fellows is the same. Top 50 players in the world, all same, trust me. Or let's say top 20. Okay, there is a difference in ability between 10 and 50. Top 20 fellows, because they beat each other all the time. It's not that... then what's the difference? That 1 and 2, they keep the mind. They don't get excited. And that is right from their birth, same quality they've had. It's not that they've developed some... To develop, you need Vedanta. To build objectivity, you need to train yourself, which is Vedanta. That's what I look at some of these fellows. This is such a simple solution. And number 3, and they're trying and trying and trying. They just don't understand what the problem. They're guided by people who themselves have no intellect. You must have a bigger drive. Drive is what is killing him. You want him to go into overdrive, kill him some more. So, 19. Even here, iha, eva. Iha eva means even here. It means in this world, right here and now. Birth is overcome by those whose mind rests in evenness. Samye. Brahman is indeed spotless and equal. Therefore, they are established in Brahman. So, what he is doing here is giving you the test of your spiritual development by your comparison with the nature of Brahman. See, Brahman is the absolute reality, God, divinity. And that Brahman functions in all of us. When it functions in the individual, we refer to it as Atman. It's the same thing. It's like the sunlight is everywhere, total. But when the sun hits a particular mirror, you see a reflected sun. But it's the same sunlight. So, what is the nature of Brahman? When we say the nature of Brahman is infinite happiness, what it actually means is there is no agitation. We were discussing yesterday, right? Those of you who were there. When you have a desire, your mind is disturbed. You're agitated. It's like when you're hungry, your mind is agitated. I'm hungry, I'm hungry. When you fill food, that agitation is gone. When you say, oh, I'm so happy now, I had a good meal. What are you saying? What is that happiness? That agitation caused by hunger, the desire to eat, is now gone. So happiness is nothing but removal, cessation of agitation, sorrow. So to the extent you're happy, by definition your mind is calm. If you are infinitely happy, which is enlightenment, it is completely calm. That's what he says. Samam. Samam means same, equal, unmoving. So what happens with our mind? You eat some food, again after a while it becomes agitated. That's the problem which nobody understands. Anything you've done in your whole life you've been living, has it given your mind complete calmness? It's just temporary. You get it, you feel calm. Don't believe me, what happened? Wedding day you felt everything is now satisfied. Then what happened? Where's that calmness you felt so fleetingly, temporarily? Then what happened? Agitation. Again. So it's like that. Everything. Brahman. So as long as your mind is agitated, means you're not in Brahman, you have desires. I've told you, you have to be born to fulfill the desires. So this cycle of birth and death you are condemned to, as long as you're not enlightened. So that's what he says. Even here, right now, you can overcome this cycle of birth, which he calls overcoming birth. If your mind can rest in evenness. So to the extent you gain this glorious knowledge of Vedanta, of Brahman, your mind will become calm. To that extent you're free. Even now you're free. Earlier you needed to go to the mall every couple of weeks. You wanted this, you want that. Just simple things. Simple self-sufficiency you develop with this knowledge. What exactly do I need? I have what I need. Mind is even, right? Calm to that extent. You don't need to, again, you're not restless. Brahman is indeed spotless, nirdosham, samam, equal. Therefore, they are established in Brahman. So the test of spiritual growth he gives you in 18 and 19 throughout the Gita. You can't say you have this knowledge. You can't say you are growing spiritually. The three tests he's given you here. The two tests. Third one is selfless action. You become unselfish, caring, giving. You feel one with all beings. And the mind is calm. You become self-sufficient. You need less and less from the world because you gain more and more happiness within you. That's what he says elsewhere in the Gita. Jnana Vijnana Triptatma. You remain satisfied with knowledge and wisdom. Your wisdom itself satisfies you much more than anything in the world. So what is it? What do you need? So test yourself. What used to bother you? Somebody passes a nasty remark. It will not bother you. Let him have his opinion, genuinely. Otherwise, you'll go on rambling in it for years, weeks, months. How could he talk to me like that? How could they behave like that? After all, he's my own brother, my own mother, my own this. Who cares? Well, that's their nature. Therefore, you are established in Brahman. So if you're spiritual, what do you need to look out for? Now this is the practical application of this knowledge. What do you need to look out for? If you're spiritual, first thing. Huh? Anyone? Christina?
The things that agitate you?
Think, the moment you lose that calmness, suppose you're calm and suddenly you get agitated, you're right. Generally your focus goes, that thing has come, therefore I'm agitated. No, it should be, why did I lose my equanimity? What is wrong with me? Why did I was calm, why did I get disturbed? That is a spiritual aspirant. Okay, that happened. Whatever it has happened. Somebody passed a remark. Somebody did this. Could even be death or birth. Why did I lose my calmness? I got to correct that. Nothing to do with the other person. It's because you have an expectation. So Brahman is spotless and equal. Therefore, they are established in Brahman. So very, very practical, powerful verses to explain this. Clear? Roxanne?
I sometimes have a problem when I like something too much, because then I know it's going to go away and then I'll get upset about it. So how do you handle, what's the best way to handle that? Because I kind of dread it. Like the minute I start liking it, I'm like, I'm in trouble.
Yeah, see now that is also a wrong way to look at it, because where is the problem in this situation? Can anybody help Roxanne? Where is the incorrect view which is creating that agitation? Bridget?
So I think that because I have that same issue too. As soon as something arrives, you like it and you know that it's not going to be long lasting because everything is fleeting. And So I think that it is because I think it is. Okay. I think that it is because when a person, like if somebody likes something too much and it's gonna go away.
So
I lost my train of thought.
No, I know. Everybody loses their train. It's not a problem. I'll come back to you. Francia, you had something?
Yes, hi. It's okay, Bridget. I feel the same way. I think this is a very, very common thing for most of us. I don't think any of us have ever experienced liking something and then thinking, oh, it won't last. But for me, what I think drives us to that is that we become so attached to it that we become dependent on that thing. That if we don't have that thing, now we're no longer happy, and our happiness depends on us having that thing. And so we know it's not going to happen. Intellectually, we understand it's fleeting, it's going to go away. So we're just kind of waiting for that shoe to drop. And it's sad because then we miss out on actually enjoying the thing.
That is what. I know there are a lot of you there. The whole class will go if I take everybody. The problem is, see, what she's asking is something is there which you like and then you fear losing it, right? See, the mind works in two ways. First of all of you should understand. It craves for what it does not have. That is one source of agitation all the time. Whatever you have, the mind will crave for more. And what it has, the mind fears losing it, right? So, and as Francia said, it's because you are dependent upon that external factor for your internal happiness. So your goal in life has to be to become independent. That is Vedanta. So when your focus is on the higher, pursuing the higher, whatever comes your way in the world, you enjoy it till it's there, with the full understanding that I'm not going to be dependent on this. You understand? The fear is because you're dependent. Your fear is what will happen to it when it stops catering to me, which will happen. Nothing is permanent. So you don't enjoy the present and you don't move up spiritually. So you're all the time in this loop, everybody. Craving for what you don't have, fearing losing what you have. So the only solution, we're talking here long-term permanent solution, is to make yourself independent of that object through spiritual growth. So to the extent you need it, enjoy it till you become independent. But why are you dependent on it? You got to pay the price. Anybody dependent on any object or being in the world, you have to pay the price. The price is sorrow, fear, suffering. So it's your dependence which is creating that, not the object. So you remember that poem, Theodore Telton, right? Even this shall pass away. So he says that. What is wealth? The king would say, even this shall pass away. Pleasure comes but not to stay. Every experience in life, he had everything. He enjoyed everything. Even this shall pass away. Mortal flesh is only clay. Even this shall pass away. Whether it's relationships, wealth, friendships, enjoyment, life itself, even that is going to pass. So we are living in a fool's paradise. You just think it will go on. Everything. Each one of us believes what is the current state will go on. So you have to make yourself independent. That comes with Vedanta. The more happiness you gain within, the less you're dependent on the world. So enjoy it while it's there, understanding it will go. Why are you dependent on it more than that? That's your problem. Right. Any questions we can take up quickly? Not answers, questions. Gabby, you have a question?
So briefly, and I hope you'll put up with this. I was curious, the attributes of the elephant, sluggish and this and that. How did Ganesh come about?
No. See, now they're using this in a particular context. Now, Ganesha is used in a totally different context of wisdom. The large ears represent hearing. The large head represents reflection. One tusk is broken, one is complete. Means the pairs of opposites are broken for a person of wisdom. He's not affected by heat and cold, joy. It's a very deep symbolism, right? So all that is there in the symbolism of Hindu gods and rituals. There's a book written by my guru, if you're interested. Since you're new, I'm telling you. It's called The Symbolism of Hindu Gods and Rituals. Very interesting. All the rituals, prayers, gods, festivals, what the meaning is. So one day when it's in context, I'll tell you what Ganesha means. Large belly means you can digest any experience in the world. The rat next to him is the mind. Because the rat, whatever it gets, it forgets. It stores it and it forgets. Then again going for more. This is the mind. Whatever you get has no meaning to you. You want more. So all that is beautifully conveyed in that particular symbolism. So here they are using it in a particular context. Cow, dog, elephant, sattva, rajas, tamas. Relative. Desiree?
Yes, good morning. When people have an attachment that they say is kind of extreme like that, I like it too much, right? That's when we're starting to get towards that addiction kind of stuff, like alcohol or whatever. And I found that when someone has that kind of strong attachment, finding out or thinking about what that thing or person provides to you, and then cultivating that within yourself. So if you really enjoy whatever it is because it allows you to feel free, then think about what you can do within yourself to feel more free. Maybe give things away, things that are burdens, something like that.
These are all temporary fixes. That's what I'm trying to tell you. If the intellect is not developed through knowledge, the mind will go into something else. You're going to have the same problem again. Here we are talking about the permanent fix, which is when you escalate to higher values of life, the lower desires come under control. That's called the intellect. So this is a permanent full solution to any craving of the mind. Otherwise you move from one to the other. There are fellows who give up addiction to alcohol. They'll be smoking like chimneys. And they give up see, the personality is like that. You give up that, it'll be gambling. You give up gambling, it'll be something else. Because the mind will find another object to get attached to. So it won't work. You need to build an intellect to be able to supervise anything the mind throws at you. That's what this knowledge is all about. Paula?
Hi.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. I'm going to try to make this quick. But I've been studying the treaties and listening to your audios on YouTube almost constantly for the last year and a half, a little less than a year and a half, and really trying to understand. But I took a job just under 3 months ago, and from the time I walked in, what was displayed as a wonderful job, it's been a job of a nightmare, and no matter what I do, it's wrong. And so I'm in a position where I feel like there's no choice but to leave, and I'm trying to understand how to use these principles to help me get some clarity, because I have none. Thank you.
Yes, see, in a situation like that, like you're saying, you've given it 3 months and that situation is definitely not something which you anticipated. Now, I would suggest you consider leaving, because when it comes to a job, it should be in a field which you enjoy doing. Your field is medicine, you should do medicine, right? So it should be a field you enjoy doing, and it should meet your basic requirements, right? Whatever it is. So definitely you should consider leaving that and looking for something which is more aligned with your nature. And only when you have that job, because you're working 8, 9, 10 hours a day, only then can you think of something higher, or moving it, if there's a basic calmness about the work. So definitely consider that, for sure.
Can you help me deal with my fear of being without a paycheck?
No, that is true for everybody. I've been without a paycheck for 30 years, so don't worry. It doesn't. So that fear is not going to work. The what you have to do is look for the next situation, and aggressively. So go all out and look for whatever you believe will work. There's no other choice. That's just the reality of life.
Thank you.
Steve? Can't hear you. Your connection is not good. You can send it over a message. Okay? And if there's any other questions you have which you want addressed, I have the Q&A session on Wednesday evenings, which I have just for this. I just took little extra questions because there were a lot of new people. I can see that. But the forum for questions is the Wednesday, where there's a full hour just for your questions. And even if you can't make it live, I'll take it up and you can catch up on the recording. Okay? So we'll see you then. Otherwise, the weekend. Hari Om.